Hi, I'm Naomi. I'm the construction manager at Liberty Construction. We're here at Smilezeum for Dr. Christina Coleman, and this is our trenching. We have like these strings here on the ground. It's a string layout because we don't have any concrete to lay out on. So these strings represent partitions or walls so that the guys could measure to see where to install all of the drains. We did encounter some problems on this job. If we walk over to the end of the trench, in our drawings initially, we were thinking that we could tie into one of these drains here on the surface. It was feasible for the drains that are closer to the pipe because it's so close to the surface, but for the ones that are further out, it wasn't gonna work just because we wouldn't have been able to achieve the adequate slope for all of the drains. So initially we planned to cut the concrete back in this corner and tie into a deeper drain line until we realized that it's not actually deeper. So we don't actually have a sanitary line in this space that's deep enough for us to meet the slope requirements for all of the drains. So instead of tying into an existing sanitary line, we're going to install an ejector pump. And we're trying to find a good location for it now. But because we already have these deep trenches on this side, we're thinking of just installing it somewhere here. This is gonna be the doctor's bathroom eventually.
I think it's good to know that, yes, a lot of times we get fortunate to have as-built drawings or very detailed existing plans for the space that we're core drilling or trenching in, and we'll see if there are good tie-in points or maybe there's cleanouts that we can kind of use to help indicate where our tie-in points are going to be, where the existing drain lines are going to be. But oftentimes those drawings may not be accurate. Things might have changed since the original building was built. And also we realize that, while there is code that dictates the exact depth and slope for existing or new main sanitary lines, sometimes are not followed, and we're gonna still have to do some modifications, whether it's change our tie-in point, demo and reinstall, modify the existing sanitary line, or even just put a ejector pump or something similar to just offset the issue that we have with gravity if the slope can't be met. So probably that latter is probably what we're gonna have to do here, as Naomi said. Naomi, explain a little bit about what these yellow strings are that we're looking at here.
The yellow strings represent walls. So we just tied strings to the concrete to represent where this long hallway is gonna be. And that helps us measure where we're gonna install the plumbing for the chairs and the 12 o'clocks.
So I guess, our viewers might be used to, when you have a concrete deck that you can do chalk lines or spray paint the lines. That's for if you're gonna be core drilling, but if all you have is gravel or you're doing a concrete backfill, trenching like we are here, you're not gonna be able to get the same kind of precision by just spray painting where the walls are gonna be. So this method of using elevated string at what will be the finished floor height definitely seems like a more accurate way to predict where you're gonna have to lay your drain lines, below floor plumbing, in this case, air and vac lines as well. And I guess, when you see these guys do it, it doesn't look like it's gonna be nearly as easy as doing chalk lines. How long does it take to get something like this done, layout-wise?
It took just a few days because we did encounter a few changes from the floor plan. This space ended up being a little bit bigger than the architect anticipated, and because of that, we had to adjust some of the walls. So some of these rooms ended up a little bit larger than what the architect originally planned, but that's a pretty good problem to have.
Definitely when it comes to treatment rooms, clinical spaces, really any kind of commercial or healthcare space, usually better to have a little more room than you expected. But of course, that's the importance of, even if you have CAD drawings, whatever you may have, dimension plans, you always got to check the field dimensions when you're on the site in case there's any discrepancy. Give the project manager an opportunity to send an RFI and make sure that, hey, if we're going to make this room a little bigger, that everyone's aware of it, there's no issue. It's a good problem to have usually, but still something that you have to talk to the architect about and catch early, just so there's not any last-second decision-making needed when you're moving to the next step, which here, I guess, once we figure out the ejector pump situation, is there anything left before we can do groundwork inspections and backfill?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, as long as the plumbing and the electric are completely installed, we can call for their groundwork inspection, then have the concrete guys come back out and, bury the pipes and put the gravel back, do the mesh and a vapor barrier, have that inspected, and then we can pour some concrete.
Perfect. So it's going to be a 4-inch slab on top of
Looks like
gravel.
It's gonna match. Oh, it looks like this one's about maybe, yeah, like 4 inches.
Oh, I guess, yeah, where you can see the formwork still left there. Okay, well then, next time we're here, hopefully we're gonna be standing on a concrete slab, freshly poured.